All right, today we're venturing deep, deep into the primeval forests of Slavic folklore to meet one of its most fascinating and mysterious figures, the Leshy.
You know that feeling, right? When you're walking the woods and you get a little turned around, you start hearing voices that sound familiar, but you know no one's there. That creeping sense that the forest itself is actively trying to get you lost. Well, in Slavic lore, that feeling has a name, and that name is the Leshy.
So, who exactly is this being? Before we get into his wild origin stories, and trust me, they are wild, we first need to establish a baseline. What are the common traits that make a Leshy, well, a Leshy?
Okay, first off, physically, the Leshy is a master shapeshifter. He often shows up as a tall, bearded man, but he's always got a piece of the wild in him. We're talking skin that looks like tree bark, a beard made of tangled vines and green moss, and these piercing green eyes that are sometimes said to glow. Some stories even give him horns or blue blood, just to make it absolutely clear that he is not human.
But his most dramatic power, his real party trick, is the ability to change his size whenever he wants. When he's deep in his forest, he can grow so tall he towers over the trees themselves. But the second he steps into an open field, he can shrink down to be smaller than a single blade of grass. Being the master of the forest, he's got command over pretty much everything in it. The animals, the plants, he can even manipulate the wind. But the power he's most infamous for, the one that's genuinely terrifying, is an ability called blood. It's his power to make people wander in circles, completely lost. He'll magically move landmarks, and worse, he'll perfectly mimic the voices of your loved ones to lure you deeper and deeper into the woods.
So how do you spot one? Well, there are a few dead giveaways that he's not from around here. For one, the Leshy casts no shadow, ever, even in direct sunlight. And his whole appearance is just slightly off. His shoes will be on the wrong feet, or his coat will be buttoned the wrong way. It's a signal that he comes from a place where our logic is completely inverted.
All right, so now that we know what he is, we can finally tackle the central mystery. Where in the world does he come from? And believe me, the answer is not simple at all.
Folklore actually gives us 3 totally distinct origin stories, and what's so cool is that each one paints a completely different picture of this forest guardian, giving him entirely different reasons for doing what he does. So, this first origin story is fascinating. It suggests the Leshy wasn't really born in the way we think of it. He just coalesced. He came into being almost like mist forming between the trees.
In this version, he's literally the raw living will of nature. He's not good or evil. He's more like a force. His whole purpose is to enforce balance, and he gets activated, so to speak, when humans get arrogant, disrespect the forest, and take more than they need.
Now, the second origin story is a complete 180. It's not this grand elemental tale. It's deeply personal, deeply human, and frankly, it's pretty tragic.
This story transforms the Leshy into a total outcast. It says he was once a human child, cursed by his own parents, cast out of the human world and left for dead. But the forest claimed him. So now, his trickery isn't about balance. It's a twisted echo of the human world he lost. He rules the only home he's ever known as an exiled king.
And then we have the third origin, which takes this local forest spirit and launches him into a massive cosmic story of war and divine judgment.
Yeah, this is where you can really see the old pagan beliefs getting blended with a newer Christian worldview. In this version, the Leshy is a fallen angel. During that great war in heaven, he was cast out, and he just happened to land in a forest. And that forest became his divinely appointed territory to rule.
So why does all this matter? Well, because these aren't just minor background details. Each of these origin stories creates a fundamentally different character with completely unique motivations for how he deals with people.
Let's really break that down. How does his backstory directly shape his actions, his sense of morality, and his entire relationship with any human who's brave enough or foolish enough to step into his woods?
And this table just lays it out so clearly. You can draw a straight line from his origin to his actions. The matured spirit? He's motivated by balance, so he acts like a strict teacher. The cursed child? He's a tragic trickster haunted by his lost humanity. And the fallen angel? He's just an overlord driven to protect his territory.
So let's look at Leshy number 1, the primal guardian. His actions are totally impersonal. He's the forest's immune response. If you come into his woods with greed in your heart,
He's going to lead you astray to teach you a lesson in respect. It's all about the natural order.
Then we have Leshy number 2, the tragic outcast. And this one is all personal. His tricks and his rules, they're all tinged with this deep sadness for the human connection he was forced to give up. His wrongness, the backwards clothes, the shoes, it's a perfect symbol of his broken link to our world.
And finally, Leshy number 3, the territorial overlord. This guy's actions have nothing to do with morality or tragedy. It's simple. This is his land, he was granted dominion over it, and he will enforce his rule, period. His authority is absolute. But here's what's so interesting. Even with these 3 very different personas, the ways that humans were supposed to interact with the Leshy are remarkably consistent. And that tells us that no matter where he came from, the forest itself was seen as a sovereign place with its own logic.
To get through the forest safely, travelers knew they had to make offerings. This wasn't just superstition, it was a fundamental sign of respect. Leaving a little bread or salt on a tree stump was like paying a toll. It was you acknowledging that you were a guest in his domain and you would play by his rules.
And what happened if you did get lost? Well, there was a very peculiar ritual to escape his magic. You had to turn your own clothes inside out. You had to put your shoes on the wrong feet. By mirroring his otherworldly wrongness, you could basically use his own inverted logic against him to break the spell and find your way home.
Ultimately, it doesn't really matter which Leshy you believe in. The Guardian, the Outcast, or the Overlord. All of his many faces point to a single profound truth. He is the ultimate reminder that the wild is not just a resource for us to control. It's a conscious, living entity that operates by its own powerful and often inscrutable laws.